are. Hello, everyone. You guys, it's been horrible to get this setting going, but now we are live. So Ivan, just asking once again, can you hear us?
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Hey, Ivan, you can hear us, right?
Yeah, perfectly. Sound and clear.
Amazing. Okay, I'm just checking if Twitter is working as well. You should. Big maybe. Can you hear Edgar's?
Maybe I don't hear Edgar's.
You can't hear him?
No, like very far from the back. I think that maybe the audio is coming from your computer.
Oh. Yeah, oh, you're muted. Give me a sec. I don't know how this happened. But we are live. Why is he muted? Do you know why he's muted now? No, so the image stopped.
Yeah, your image is frozen as well. The image from the studio.
Maybe some settings here.
Hang on a second, everyone. We're fixing some technical difficulties. Now the image is back. But we still don't hear Edgar's.
Me too.
Oh, there you go. I was thinking there's maybe something like that.
Yeah, now I hear you. Perfect. You're there.
I'm back. I'm back. It's like I never left.
There's a little bit of echo, though.
Yeah, I would probably.
We're gonna solve the echo. Give me 1 sec.
Are you guys hearing us all right?
That's intentional. Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Not really loud.
Okay. Can you hear me better?
I don't think it's that mic.
You think it's the AirPod?
I don't know.
No, it's should be loud.
Well, I guess I wouldn't hear you. I'm hearing you from.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah. Okay. Picture is frozen, as I can see. Welcome, everyone. I think I can just hear myself in your microphone, right? You just have to mute it when I talk.
I don't think that's gonna.
No.
This way.
Okay. Can you hear us?
Yeah, just test one more time.
Okay. Test.
Yeah, we're hearing you like doubled. You are inputting from 2 different mics, I think.
Maybe let's use your mic. And mute this one. Well, we can mute this one.
Okay, now the echo disappeared.
Yeah, now use your mic, put it on the table, and just do it feels over.
Yeah, does it work like this?
How's this? Can you hear it?
Ivan?
I can hear it perfectly, Tony, right now. Edgar's?
That's great. Yeah, you should.
So I don't think you're using the microphone in the table. I think you're using either Tony's AirPods or Tony's MacBook as an input right now.
No, we are using the...
Because I hear you loud and clearly, and Edgar's like if he's in another room.
Let's just go there with both computers and like, let's just sit there with both computers, do it without the setup. Yeah, okay, let's do that. I can only kind of inside.
No, let's.
We're gonna be back in a sec.
Yeah.
Like, what? Doesn't work. No. Can you do it from here? Does that work for you? Like, are you okay?
We are still hearing you, Tony, loud and clear.
Yeah, half an hour.
So I see you, Tony. You're muted, but I see you. I still don't see Edgar's.
Hello, everyone. Just to give a short update, we're really sorry that this took so long. We have here with us Ivan, who is our head of ecosystem from the GenLayer Foundation. Edgars is also going to join us in a few seconds. Just to give you an update, so we are here at Berlin Blockchain Week, and Edgars just had an amazing presentation. So we had to find a professional setup to kind of stream our, testnet Asimov live stream today, and we decided to go for the one that the venue was hosting. But the problem was that, as you could see, the audio and the video were the best. So thank you everyone for sticking through, and sorry again for the bad audio and all the problems leading to this delay. Now we also have us Edgars. Let me just see. Edgars, does your...
Hey everyone. Let's see, it's gonna be a little bit echoey.
Now I can hear you both perfectly clear.
That's great. Hey guys.
That's amazing.
Hey everyone.
Okay, so final test. You can hear Edgars, you can hear me. That's amazing. Well, again, perfect. Let me just switch to another screen. Okay, nice. Well, amazing. Once again, thanks everyone for tuning in. With us, Edgars is actually sitting next to me now that we had the problems with the setup. My name is Tony. I'm the head of content and community at GenLayer Labs. We have Edgars here, who is the CPO and co-founder of GenLayer Labs, and also Ivan, who is the head of ecosystem for the GenLayer Foundation. So guys, first of all, thanks for joining. I mean, Edgars, it was like we were together in Berlin, so it was easy, right? But yeah, Ivan and Edgars, thanks for taking the time, and welcome to your first live stream, Ivan, actually.
Yeah, it is. I had a couple of phases, but this is my first live stream with GenLayer. So I'm very glad to be here. Very excited.
Amazing. And today we have, as you've all seen from our announcement on X, it's a very special day because we are celebrating the launch of our first testnet, Asimov. It is a huge milestone for GenLayer Labs as well as Foundation, and I think that you two can shed a bit more light on that. But before we start, gonna at the end of the session, we're gonna share the POAP mint link. Everyone can mint their POAPs again, as we do it every Thursday. Well, we haven't had a stream for the last 2 Thursdays, but this week we'll continue with this practice. And at the end of the session, you'll be able to mint your POAP. So without further ado, maybe before we start going into testnet, can either one of you shed some light around why is this test important? What's kind of the trajectory, and what are we opening up with this first testnet Asimov? Whoever wants to start, guys. Probably,
Okay.
Or yeah. Okay, Ivan, you go.
Yeah. Okay. So Testnet Asimov is pretty amazing because we are starting to work with professional validators on working on GenLayer. So it's growing from being an in-house app onto a truly decentralized protocol chain where everyone can contribute. And the idea is to keep going through this path of decentralization. And we are starting to actually be able to create decentralized decisions, like with lots of different validators working and chiming in each and every one of the decisions.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're looking at this whole roadmap that we have, kind of scoped it, Edgars, maybe you can give an introduction to, Ivan just said, first part, testnet. What are we actually trying to do, and why is it so important that we have these testnets? Like all those people listening out there, they're like main TGE, whatever. But why, for you, from a development perspective, is it so important to actually test those things that we are trying to do? Like, we're building trust infrastructure for the AI age. We're building apps that can, fetch data from the internet, engage in reasoning, complex decision making. What is the importance of testing these things, and how do you scale up from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tony. The goal of the testnet is for us to test, first of all, all the validator software, test that the node operates correctly, that the consensus mechanism operates correctly. So that is the main goal of the first testnet. The first testnet is Asimov. So we already onboarded around 50 validators. Ivan can give us the exact number, but the goal is to test. Can you please mute yourself? The goal is to, first of all, test the software. So how all the nodes can perform in a consensus scenario. So a blockchain, of course, you've seen that we have the studio. So this already simulates the full consensus mechanism. You have many validators with different AIs. They're working together through this optimistic democracy consensus mechanism. They are, performing the entire consensus procedure, but this is all happening on a single machine. So the next stage of that is the actual network, where you have many independent nodes communicating with each other through the gen layer chain. And that, of course, is a lot more complex setup. So the first goal of this testnet is to test that the node software works correctly, as we're adding all these new features like appeals, like deterministic violation tribunals, like all the steps in our consensus procedure, all the edge cases. Really test the scalability of the software, how they can sync with the network, all these aspects of the network. So that's the primary goal of the gen layer Asimov testnet, as well as enable the external validators that are joining testnet to test all their developer kind of DevOps, basically test their setup. So start setting up their nodes, start setting up all the connections, ensure that everything works smoothly, work out all the operations that they're going to need to do, like upgrades, like failover, so that if one node dies, they can immediately resume from a different node. Basically test all these aspects, technical aspects of the testnet. So that's the primary goal of the first stage. Then later we're going to have testnet Bradbury, and this one is going to be focused on actually testing the large language model performance of the validators. So it's like let's say stage 2 of our testnet program before mainnet. So in that stage, the validators will have to start to choose the large language models they use, ensure they provide good performance, and they're going to be rewarded for good performance through the gas mechanism of gen layer. And that's really the testnet to start preparing for mainnet, beta test different applications, all these kind of things. But the first testnet is focused on the low-level mechanics of the network, the scalability, the stability, all these aspects of the node software that makes the network actually work, kind of hum along, smoothly.
Yeah. Thanks, Edgars, for explaining like this 2-step, 3-step process actually until you need reach mainnet. What does it now mean? Like I know that a lot of users have asked around questions about private testnet, public testnet. What does that actually mean for the applications and everything you can use on gen layer, and how what's the differentiation here between private and public?
So this is a permission network. That it means that we choose which validators are going to be part of the active set of validators running the chain. See, in mainnet, it's going to be permissionless, where anyone can participate. Our idea and our protocol is based on having 1,000 validators agreeing on decisions, because for each contract, we start with 5 validators, where one of them takes the role of a leader and proposes a solution to the contract. And then we have 4 other validators that verify the response, and they can agree or disagree. If they agree with the leader, the majority agree, then we go into a finality window of 30 minutes where anyone in the network can appeal. What does this mean? You can appeal a resolution, a response from the contract if you don't agree with it, if you think it's wrong. You can put the gas to run the appeal, and then we choose 2n plus 1 validators, where n is the number of rounds. So it keeps growing the amount of validators until we reach 1,000 validators. Okay, so where does this come from? This comes from a theorem of Condorcet. He was a Catalan guy who had the Condorcet jury theorem that states that if you have n different persons participating in a voting to decide something, if each of the participants is independent of each other and each participant is more likely to have a correct answer than an incorrect answer, let's say more than 50% of the times you have a correct answer, as n grows, you get more confidence that the response is correct. So as n grows, as we have more validators, we have like 99.999% that are sure that the response is correct. So as long as you ask the LLMs questions that they can answer more correctly than incorrectly, with our consensus mechanism that is called optimistic democracy, we can almost ensure that every answer is going to be correct. In this first testnet, going back to your question, we are using professional validators only that have like a track record of participating in several mainnet testnets, and they have like lots of staking in their nodes, because we are like going back and forth with them like every day, creating together the node, deciding on some stuff about how we want to create the testnet and mainnet and the chain. So we need like quick response, 24 hours. We need to upgrade them to for them to upgrade really quickly, and they are actually part of building what GenLayer is going to be. Once you're in mainnet, anyone can participate, and the chain will automatically choose the 1,000 validators that have the most amount of delegated stake. Okay.
Total stake, to be precise. I think it's also, because the validator is going to need some self-stake, some delegated stake, and there's a weighting mechanism to add that together. But yeah, it's going to be permissionless at that point in time. I think it's also important to make it clear that the permission aspect of this testnet Asimov is on the validator front. So the GenLayer Foundation chooses who are the validators that are part of this testnet. But in terms of as a user or as a developer, anybody, it's a permissionless testnet. So anybody can deploy contracts on this testnet. Anybody can connect the wallet. We have the Explorer, Asimov Explorer, that anybody can go and see. It's possible to connect to the studio as well, to this testnet and deploy contracts there. So this is all permissionless, with the caveat that this testnet, as I said, is not focused so much on the LLM performance. So you're not going to get the highest quality responses that you will get in testnet Bradbury or in mainnet. So it's focused on the operation of the network, but at the same time, you can already start testing the actual performance of the network in terms of the speed of transaction resolution, stability, all these other aspects. So yeah, it's permissionless to use to deploy applications. It's permissioned only on the validator selection.
What would these, like, can you give an example, like, how do you start with, like, you onboard these validators? I know that we have a few of them. First of all, how do you onboard those? How do you make sure that these are, professional validators that have validated before, that are, kind of in the spaces? What kind of, like, how can people imagine, like, what on a day-to-day basis, like, how does the operation work with those people?
So for the validators, we have a form that you can find in genlayer.com/testnet. In that form, we ask the validators, or that's the early validator program. We ask them to submit their website, which mainnets they're working on, which are the current testnets they're participating on, the stake they have delegated in each network, and for example, if they have ever been slashed, and what was the resolution after the slash, why did it happen, and what did it correct for the slashing not to happen again. Okay. We also ask them how they can contribute and what's their idea, both in terms of tech and ecosystem. We review their websites, and after that, we review in which mainnets they're participating, and then we have a one-on-one onboarding call where we talk about the different steps to install the node and the config. We talk about the different testnet we're going to launch to mainnet, what we expect from them, and we can just how they can contribute towards the testnet. So that, I hope that answers your question. Basically, it's like everything is open, it's blockchain, so you can figure out which ones participating where, how they are participating, and you can see it's all in the open, the track record of every validator.
And how was it for you, Ivan? I know that we have synced a few times on that as well. Like, how was it for you working with these validators, onboarding them? Like, how was the process, and how do you plan to scale them further, right? Like we said, testnet 1, testnet 2, then eventually leading into mainnet, or in parallel third testnet. How do you envision, like, how do you want to scale up to these 1,000 validators? Manually going to onboard them? When is the point, where they're going to be able to just, plug and kind of, okay, here we are, like, network, please delegate tokens to us? How does it work?
Yeah. So for right now, we're having one-to-one meeting with each of the validators, actually several meetings with them, because we want to create a personal relationship between the GenLayer Foundation and each of the validators, because they are like really important on the growth and the success of GenLayer. Because the validators it's not the same as in the different blockchains, because in most blockchains you just run the software and that's it. In GenLayer it's different, because, for example, you have different contracts, okay? And let's say that you have a contract that you are running 1 million times a day. and that can get pretty expensive really fast. So what you can do as a validator is that for that specific contract, you can fine tune or distill a smaller model on all the input outputs you've already seen in that model, okay? So you can fine tune LLM just for that contract and have much more performance and have it like much faster, much cheaper. So the rewards can be much more. So that's something unique to us. On the other hand, if you are in a big appeal round with lots of gas, you can run the biggest model you have available. So you are sure that you're going to have the correct answer, because if you agree with the majority, you get a reward. If you disagree with the majority, you get a penalty. So this is a lot of things that the validators we're starting to talk to them, and this is something new that they need to get on. So we're focusing on validators that have experience with AI or would like to start like exploring working with LLMs and AI. That's one side of the coin. The other one is one of the things that we have what we call gray boxing. We are working on a gen layer constitution, and we don't want the validators, to process any transaction that goes against the gen layer constitution, or that, for example, is an attack, like a prompt injection or stuff like that. That the protocol itself, it's pretty safe against prompt injections, but we want a pre-processing from part of the validators in order to stop unwanted transactions, okay? So there's a lot of different things in Gen Layer for the validators to work on. They're pretty excited to be working on all this with us. So yeah, that's great. Regarding adding more validators, we have several ideas. Right now, we are running a points system and incentivized testnet, where we get to track all the contributions from all the validators, okay? From uptime, which phase of the testnet they were part on, if they created a blog post, share, amplify posts on Twitter, community outreach, like creating dashboards. We split these contributions into tech and ecosystem. Okay, we have like a lot of pioneering opportunities of stuff that we're talking about with the validators, that they were, hey, I can help with this, I can help with that. So all these create points, add points to the validators, and we have a leaderboard. The idea is like for each contribution, right now, we are from the foundation, we're assigning from a range of points. For example, a blog post can go from 20 to 200 points. And we decide the amount of points based on originality and how aligned it is about communicating or growing the ecosystem of a gen layer. We are working on creating our first intelligent contracts. The idea is that with the wallet, with the address of your node, you can actually connect to this system and submit a contribution. And we want to create an intelligent contract for each of these contributions in order for the system to automatically assign the relevant amount of points. Okay, so that's the way we're incentivizing the validators right now. And this leaderboard, we are going to use it as a guide for the different stakeholders once we reach mainnet and have our TGE, for them to decide how to distribute their delegated token, how to delegate their tokens among all the validators.
Got it. Okay, what kind of validators would you be searching for right now? Like for the validators, the people listening out there, who should apply right now, and who should probably apply further down the line, probably second testnet?
Everyone should apply right now, because we filter and organize the different validators, all the inscriptions, and we set the appropriate phases. We have we don't want to onboard everyone right now. We just have a rolling mechanism where we check for all the new validators and we decide in which phase we're going to contact them. Okay. We have, once you sign up, you get invited onto a Telegram group where we discuss validator stuff with the onboarded ones and the ones that haven't been onboarded yet. But once we reach a new phase, we always call the new validators, the one that are assigned to that phase, in order of inscription. So everyone should get the inscription and fill the form right now.
Got it. Okay, before we move on to the next part, I would also like to, we've talked a lot about validators now, and the underlying, like how it works, who we want to onboard, all of that. Like Edgar could summarize why it is important that we, first of all, have so many different validators and why it's important for the security of the ecosystem. Like, why does the security of GenLayer depend on having multiple validators and not just a few?
Yeah, we want many validators for security and also for scalability for these two main reasons. For security, as you say, the bigger diversity and the bigger validator set you have, and the bigger they run different models, different setups, different temperatures, different system prompts, all these kind of things, routers, and all these different layers that you can set up in a validator. That improves what Ivan was talking about, this Condorcet jury theorem. So in that theorem, there's also a term for how correlated the validators are, basically how similar their responses are. It still works even if they're very similar for questions that have, well, if there's one correct answer, and they all answer correctly, of course, they're 100% correlated, right? But you get better improvement in accuracy in general if you have a bigger diversity of validators. And this makes sense intuitively, it's like the wisdom of the crowd. If you gather one guy's opinion 1,000 times, it's not going to make a huge difference. You want 1,000 different people to give you their opinion, and actually when you aggregate their opinion, you're going to get a better result. Also, furthermore, kind of in terms of security, the network operates on an honest majority assumption. So at least half the validators of the network have to be honest. This is very similar to all the other blockchains. In some respects, it's better because a lot of them have a 33% requirement for a malicious actor to be able to affect the blockchain. But still, you need a big percentage, more than half of honest validators that are performing their duties correctly. In that respect as well, the more validators you have, the more security you get from that aspect. I also mentioned scalability. So scalability is another important aspect because on GenLayer, transactions in different contracts can be processed in parallel. This is a big benefit because with 1,000 validators, and if in the first round you only need 5 validators per transaction, then you can actually do 200 transactions in parallel, more or less, not quite that. Of course, there's some overhead and a little bit of this and that, but you actually get a lot more scalability. You can do a lot of throughput, a lot of transactions that go in parallel. Each transaction, can take multiple seconds, tens of seconds, if it's really complex, even minutes. But if you can do many transactions in parallel in unrelated contracts, then you can process a lot more volume. So that's the other reason we're looking to get 1,000 validators in the full network.
And what I would like to understand as well is each validator can connect to different LLM, right? The different AI model, basically. So, Ivan, you touched it before. I think what you were saying as well was like the fine-tuning the model and, finding specific use cases for which you can validate. Can you specify, obviously there's going to be a few things also to be figured out by the validators themselves, the model they use. Can you explain kind of the business behind the validation? Like when do you choose which model? Like why would you choose a model that is probably less powerful? Why would you choose a model that is fine-tuned, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, exactly. So the GenLayer system is set up to reward good performance, or more precisely, performance that aligns with the majority. And through appeals, you have ways to kind of force bigger validator sets and expose it to more and more validators. Essentially, it amounts to being rewarded for being correct. And then depending on the task, different models are going to give you different probability, let's say, of being correct. If it's a simple task, maybe you don't need such a super powerful model, right? You don't need Albert Einstein to decide, based on this article, who won the election. But some questions are complex, or some questions you're going to want to use the biggest and most powerful model. So basically, for the validator to earn more money, they need to achieve optimal performance that they can in various different contracts. So that would be, how often are you appealed if you're the leader? How often are you voting with the majority or against the majority if you're a validator? All these, first of all, they directly affect how many rewards you make in that transaction. So if you're with the majority, you earn rewards. If you're against the majority, you receive a penalty. Small penalty, it's not like a huge slashing, but still you have this mechanism to reward you or punish you if you're right or wrong. But even bigger picture, imagine all the delegators. They're going to look at this list of 1,000 validators, and they need to decide who they want to delegate to. Well, something they're going to be looking at also is the performance of the different validators in that list, right? You're going to make a lot more money if you delegate to somebody who's 99% in the majority versus somebody who's like 80% in the majority. So there's like this double effect where if you're a good performer, you're going to attract more capital over time, which increases your rewards as the validator operator. So basically, you have this incentive system to perform better and better over time. On the other hand, of course, that's your income, right? That's your revenue. On the other side, you have the costs of how much it actually costs for you to do these transactions. So that's another area where you can optimize. So if you can achieve the same level of performance, well, you have a way to run the transactions cheaper. That's going to mean more profit. You get the same income, you spend less money. So you can do things like optimize, choosing, which model you want to use for different types of transactions. As Ivan was saying, you could even fine tune a model for some contracts that's really small and really good for this one specific type of contract. It's an open-ended game. So you can think of it, we've set up these incentives, but it's really up to all the validators to, show us what they got and get a stand out and achieve the next level of performance. And that's how they make more money. That's how they get more delegations, which makes them even more money over time. And it's a continuous game of improvement, indefinitely better and better performance for the network, lower and lower costs for the users.
Okay, amazing. So Ivan, CTA for the validators, where do they go? Where can they sign up? And what kind of information do they need?
Okay, yes. So I don't have access to the chat right now, but you could go to testnet to genlayer.com/testnet, and there you can find a link to the form to submit your inscription. I would encourage you all to inscribe and talk to your validator friends to get to the testnet as well.
Amazing. But that's actually not the only thing. And some alpha drop here for the people who are listening. I mean, we have alpha drops in the Discord community. So whoever is listening, if you're not in the Discord, you're missing out. Happened a few times already that we had the alpha before it was announced on the live stream or on X. Just saying, no FOMO, but join the Discord. Actually, that's not the only thing we are inviting people to fill out, which is the validator form, and then getting in as a validator. Actually, we also have a thing that is called a grants program, which is for builders. Can you also, whoever wants to start, shed some light on the grants program and what kind of people we're searching for here and what the goal of this whole program is?
Yes, so we're going to announce our grants program tomorrow, but if you want to get ahead, you can go into genlayer.foundation and go to the grants. The idea is to have pre-mainnet grants for all of you, for developers, for researchers, for community outreach, to build hackathons and events and improve the Genlayer community. And we are really excited to see what we all can come out. We're very exciting projects ahead, because with the Genlayer's intelligent contracts, there's so much more you can do on chain. So that's something incredible, and I think that we're going to see some exciting projects ahead of us.
Yeah, actually, we had a few people asking already, like, are you going to have a grants program? Are you going to, how are you going to incentivize builders? And I think that you guys have planned a lot more. And I also want to, we just want to give a little alpha, right? A little teaser. But obviously, everyone in this space understands what grants mean. And I think that a lot of people who had these ideas, such as you, Ivan, such as Agris, such as I, who were thinking about these use cases and things you could build on Genlayer, actually have a huge advantage by, applying to this. You can check it out on the Genlayer Foundation website, and get into building really cool stuff with intelligent contracts, Python-based SDK. I think it's important as well. Maybe actually you can share a few words on why it was so important for you to build on Python or to use Python as the primary coding language.
Yeah, there's multiple reasons why we chose Python. One is that is the most popular language in the world. Well, competing, let's say, with JavaScript/TypeScript, depending on exactly how you measure it, but safe to say it's up there. And it's very widely used in the AI community as well. If you ever built any sort of AI-based application, you probably use Python. It's very easy to learn. It's very easy to pick up. It's powerful, and it's very easy to start building stuff. So that's the first layer for why we wanted to do it. There's more to it, however, which is it's not only the de facto language for humans, it's also the de facto language for AI. If you measure the performance on different coding tasks, well, all these large language models, because there's so much data and so many examples of Python code, and it's such a powerful, easy to use language, the AI models are also is one of the best languages that they're at kind of writing. So that means it's easier for you to write intelligent contracts, just on your kind of own side. You use AI to help you write intelligent contract, works really well. We're improving the docs all the time to help AIs get better at it as well. It's an important goal for us. All development is now moving to AI-assisted development. But most interestingly, and then I'm curious to see, with all the great use cases that our community is going to come up with for this, is that you can even have inside the intelligent contract, the validators, the AI inside the contract write its own code. So it's like a self-modifying, self-adapting, self-writing contract that's doing code on demand, executing it as needed. Because if you use the most recent kind of ChatGPT or all these Claude Code, any of these tools, you'll notice that they actually write their own Python scripts all the time. Not just Python, they're shell scripts, all kinds of scripts to help them do things that they're not so good at, such as math. If you just ask a plain language model to do math, well, it's not going to be amazing at that. Same as a human. It's really hard to do math in your head. You want to sit down and you want to at least use a calculator. Ideally, you just write a program that does the math for you, right? The same is actually true for a large language model. So they get a lot more powerful if you let them write their own scripts, their own tools that they can use on demand as needed to solve these problems that they're not so good at. So that to me is the most exciting, most important aspect of having a true Python interpreter running on chain. Nobody else has done it before. We're the first ones, as far as I'm aware. You have things like Viper, which is a Python-like language for EVM. But in our case, it's actual Python interpreter running on chain with all the power of that gives you. So yeah, there's a few reasons why we chose Python, and I think it's going to be very exciting.
Okay, guys. What would be? We're gonna make it very short before we get to the final CTA. What would be your final? Your favorite use cases, Ivan and Edgars?
So for me, there are so many things that you can do, but technologically speaking, we have like two different things. One is calling LLMs, and the other one is browsing the web. And just like, even if we're not talking about AI and LLMs, just by browsing the web on chain, that gives you so much power to interact with APIs and get content that right now was really difficult and really expensive. So just that little thing opens so many possibilities. And if you add LLMs on top of that, you can do so many non-deterministic stuff. You can understand text and come with subjective actions to do stuff from what's going on in the real world. So in blockchain, I remember I spent several years talking about my friends about oracles and this on-chain deterministic stuff. How can it interact with the real world stuff? And GenLayer comes along and with optimistic democracy and having lots of people agreeing about what is going on in the real world, we can interpret that data and create so many different possibilities on-chain. Really easy to build. You can download the studio right now and start building your own contracts, and cheap as well. So this is really, really exciting time ahead for the whole crypto community, I think.
I could almost see two sparks in your eyes.
Yes, because there are so many stuff that I've been wanting to do for several years, and the ecosystem was not mature enough, And right now, like with GenLayer, it opens up so many possibilities to do stuff.
Yeah, something, it's hard to choose, but something I'm kind of thinking about a lot. It's less a specific use case, more like I think it's going to be like an agglomeration of multiple open source components that let you do this. But I like to call it the intent-based company. So imagine you want to do some sort of a project. Well, you need developers, you need some marketing, you need some sales, some referral programs, all the different aspects that make up a company, that make up a project, let's say, at least, and make it run. And up until now, you had options, two main options. You either hire somebody full time, or you have like freelancers, kind of contractors doing this. What I think is possible with GenLayer, we're starting to build out some of the components of this, but I think it needs to be like a whole ecosystem of components, open source components. Imagine setting up this project where you kind of basically just describe, what you want it to be. You create a GitHub repo, you write a detailed specification, and let's say you need somebody to implement it. You need some marketing for it. You need some sales for it. You need all these different aspects. And you set up effectively these open bounties. You create a bunch of GitHub issues for different things that need to be built with some bounty attached to each one of them. Or you need some marketing. You set up a marketing campaign through this project that I don't know, Tony, if we can say the project yet, but we have something exciting coming.
Today it was announced in exclusive by VentureBeat, so I think we can.
It's a pretty cool campaign for our users. As Edgar teased it, you can vote on different outcomes, and it's going to be live actually in 1 hour. We're going to announce it on our Discord again, so join the Discord. It's super cool. I tried it out myself, and I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, I also didn't want to interrupt you, Edgar. For those of you who didn't know, he's sitting next to me, but that's why I'm turning to my left all the time.
Oh, well, yeah, that's one of them. I was thinking more the other one. That's going to be more for marketing, where you can kind of run these marketing campaigns through GenLayer. So you'll see more about that in the next few weeks as well. So all these different aspects where you're basically setting up this company. And then the cool thing about this is that not only humans can fulfill it, but all the AI agents that are starting to come online. That's a way for them to make money. They can just see, all these, there's a marketing campaign. Why don't I, write some tweets as an AI agent and make some money this way? Or I'm really good at writing code. So you can create this really efficient, decentralized company where all the different aspects of it are fulfilled. You provide the spec, what you want, and then you don't care how it's done, as long as it meets the criteria that you've specified ahead of time. So it's quite an open-ended idea, but that's something that really excites me as I'm thinking about what's possible in general.
Amazing. Okay, guys. Once again,
can I add one more use case that I'm pretty excited about? Yeah,
short one.
So in the foundation, we are creating the foundation to make it disappear in a few years. So we're working on a project called Deep Thought DAO. That the idea is to bring AI to DAOs to organize the different people that are part of the chain, and to be able to remove all the friction. And right now, every foundation from China has lots of people, mostly organizing the ecosystem and like bringing together the community in order for them to eventually vote in the DAO. But what we want to do is create all the foundation, move it to build it completely with AI, so we make ourselves redundant. So that's one of the main objectives of the GenLayer Foundation as well. We're already working on it. We are open to grants and people who want to research and work on this. So everyone's welcome to be part of it. Yeah, and that's something I'm really, really excited about.
Working on removing yourself.
Yes, that's the goal.
Aren't we all? Ideally, then we can all just sit on the beach and let AI do all the hard work.
That's right. That's right. Okay, guys. Again, thank you all for tuning in. I'm just very time conscious because, again, Edgar's and I here at Berlin Blockchain Week. I'm also going to upload Edgar's presentation, or actually, I'm going to send a few photos of Edgar's presentation into our Discord for the community to see. It was an amazing presentation. He was, talking about GenLayer and how we are launching these products coming up. Again, to summarize, if you're a validator, whoever you might be, reach out, fill out the form. Ivan is going to get back to you. If you're a user, if you want to participate in community activities, join us on Discord. It's not too late. We are only getting started. It's the first testnet. And if you're a builder, if you're a developer, and you want to build cool use cases on GenLayer, check out the grants form on GenLayer Foundation. Okay, guys, thanks again for taking the time. Are there any last words? Because I'm dropping the POP code right now. So yeah, I'm going to pin it in the channel.
I saw a question in the chat. Are there any incentives for users of the testnet? The answer to that is no, not at this stage, because this stage the testnet is focused really on the validator stability and performance, and we're running a bunch of tests on the network. We're stress testing the network. There might be specific campaigns where we're going to ask users to participate, but at this stage, there's no direct incentive for you to submit transactions to the testnet itself. I think that's good to know for people, just so you're keep an eye out. There will be things for you to do, is my advice.
Okay, POP code Steam -cooking -hard. Ivan, any last word from you?
No, so I'm pretty excited about what we can build, and I invite all of you to download the studio and start playing with GenLayer and creating your first contract, intelligent contract.
Thank you very much, guys. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Sorry again for the lag at the beginning. I hope you had a nice time still, and happy to see what's to be built on GenLayer and who's going to apply to become a validator. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Edgars and Ivan, for taking the time, and see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.